Okay, we are live. Let's see. So do we just go through the questions or?
Yeah, it said we probably won't make it through all of them because there's so many questions, but I guess we go through, maybe we can pick some that each of us, that stuck out to each of us, and we can do that.
Okay, let's do that. I'm trying to get my, hang on, let me get the questions. I had to restart my computer because it was being dumb. And I forgot to bring back up my questions I had.
I just have a bunch of notes on this side, like splitting the computer screen. So I can't see the questions, so hopefully.
Okay, great. Now that's not going to come up.
I have them if you guys want me to have the question. I have the questions.
There we go. Okay. Do you want to start?
Do you want me to start with like do you want to decide if we want to do a couple each, or how do you guys want to work that?
I thought it said like just kind of pick the main parts that you learned.
That stood out to you?
I'm not
any of that.
That's why I just have only. That's why I don't even have the questions.
Okay.
So take. My internet's being really bad right now.
Oh no, you're totally fine. Do any of you guys have any that you want to talk about, or do you just want me to start with one that I liked?
Go ahead and just start.
I think start with what.
Okay. Let me think. Let me see. They were all pretty good. Okay, the number 2 question was, why do you think it's important that we study this talk at the beginning of the semester as opposed to the end? And it was the talk by Elder Christofferson. I was just thinking that his talk sort of gave us a better foundation of why marriage was important and why the family is important. And I think that if we start that at the beginning of this semester, we can build on that throughout the semester so that by the end we will have a greater understanding and be able to help those people that we're working with. You know, we can advocate for them in a better way, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And
also, I think go ahead.
Sorry. I think it's important if we're going to be advocates, we have to know what we're advocating for. So, you know, we can easily say, okay, like, yeah, marriage is important, but if we don't know why, then we don't really have a solid argument. We're not actually arguing anything. We're just saying we need all the information to back it up.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And I also think it's important to kind of know where God stands on all these things before we figure out where man stands.
Yeah, I agree.
And then have that be our foundation, and then build from there, the studies and the research.
I definitely agree with. I feel like you guys all kind of just said it all perfectly.
Sorry, I'm actually writing down what we're like. I'm trying because we're supposed to summarize at the end, so I'm trying to take notes just so I'm not not listening.
No, you're good. I'm finding everything that I got lost.
I know.
I had some things written down, but I can't find anything. So.
What did you guys think of the video from like the New York video? It was in Chicago. Thought about marriage and just marriage in general and like gay rights and all that. I thought that was like kind of interesting. There's only one person.
I thought it was kind of sad.
Yeah.
No.
It was sad because the one guy that they asked, he was with a woman, and he was like, what does it matter? He's like, what does it matter? And then he went on to defend it, and I was like, that's so sad that he just doesn't even think it matters at all.
I know.
I know.
It matters.
I definitely.
I think my experience with like gay rights and like that, I've always just thought it's a people pleaser. It's just like, okay, let's just give everybody what they want. There's no standards. We just want everyone to be happy, which, you know, is a very noble thing. But like we've talked about so many times, like this happiness that they talk about, it's very selfish in a way.
Yeah,
And
it's very selfish.
very like, okay, this is what makes me happy. They're not thinking about I mean, we talked to, I think it was Christopherson that says, you know, marriage is just a chain that connects the past and future, and they're very focused on their two links. They don't see this huge chain that they're affecting.
Definitely agree.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved when he talked about that in his talk because it made so much more sense that it's not just a thing. Like there's actual reasons and consequences and so I think that the world just doesn't want to see that because like I don't know everybody's names, but anyways, like you were saying, they just want to think of themselves, and it's just I want to be happy and do what I want to do, and that's it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else on that one?
I don't know. Not really. I don't know. I feel like the whole gay marriage and gay rights thing, it's like those that don't support it, they call bigots, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you think about it, Christ would be considered a bigot nowadays too.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather be called a bigot and stand with Christ than try to just go with the flow.
Yeah.
I am a bigot.
I thought it was.
I don't think sin is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of hard to watch, like, or not just watch, but like there was the 7 images and
Mm-hmm.
everything. It kind of like almost confuses you because they all look so happy, and like pictures can betray a lot, and like it looks like happiness and it looks like love and normal.
Yeah.
To look at that and be like, okay, so now why, like, let's explain why we don't support this even if they look happy. And it was hard to, it's like obviously we don't support it, but it was hard that they had those images.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
I really hate how they use that heterosexual couples still get divorced. So just because they fail,
Yeah.
like, that means I'm like, okay, but we've never claimed that heterosexual couples are perfect. Like, that's never been our argument.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
But the thing is, so statistically, it proves that when you cohabitate before marriage, that your marriage is more likely to fail. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we don't have the statistics and the studies of gay and lesbian marriages because they just haven't happened. But we're going to find that they fail just as much as heterosexuals fail.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not going to be a difference. When you cohabitate, when you do things that aren't right, it's going to fail.
Definitely
I have very strong feelings about that.
Well, it just reminds me of when the proclamation came out. That was in 1995, right?
Yeah,
And they
I think you're right.
they were so ahead of their time that it just gives me chills every time I think about it because they were talking about this stuff then and we are literally living it now. And it's just, I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, the things that they took a stand on were things that were just common sense that we just assumed everyone knew. And nowadays, you know, they're lost.
Mm-hmm.
That common sense is gone.
We actually did in a different class of mine, we did a study or read a study about lesbian and gay couples and just like the effects on kids as well. So like, I don't know a statistic on like divorce rate, but I do know that there was like a lot of differences on children. I'm sure the divorce rate might even be higher. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. But yeah, it impacts kids negatively. Confuses them.
All right, let's
So-
do. Go ahead.
How would we define the word family?
Oh, that's a
Let's
good one
dive
because
into
I don't know that one. I think I'm so confused because of society today, not because I don't know, but because we're flooded with so many different ideas about family that now I don't even know what I would say, you know?
Yeah. I say that it is a union of a family. It's a union between a man and a husband and wife. I mean, sorry, that came out totally wrong. A man and a wife, and then their children. Now, that could be adopted children. It could be like any kind of children, but when you're bound together legally as husband and wife with children, that is a family.
I think I would just add that it is what you just said, and it's these that they've made a commitment to not only themselves but to God
Yes.
to be together and create that family.
That's what a family is.
Yeah, one of the things that I would think of is like it's not something brand new. Like we all come from a family, whether, we like it or not. We come from something and we're building something, and then it's just going to be continued to be built. It's like, it's an internal family. It's not made out of nothing, and it's not going to end at nothing.
Yeah, we're constantly growing our family. Because I think family includes like aunts and uncles and grandparents, and you just continue to build on a family.
Would you consider like and this is just that I am curious, would you consider a family, because like there are lots of people that have kids right now not married, but would you consider them still a family even if they're not married?
Cohabitation, you mean?
Yeah, like if they have kids, because they still have, it's kind of a hard question. I was just curious.
They do have kids, but it's not a family under God.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, I don't know,
But
it's
that
a
is
hard one.
Because it's like you want to call them a family, but they're not a whole family. They're a partial family.
Well, and they haven't made the commitment to be a family, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but like they haven't committed to each other, to God, to, they just haven't done. If you're just living together, then you totally skipped out on the commitment part, I think.
Yeah, which means it's like, yeah, you may have kids, which is part of a family, but you're not a whole family.
It's hard. It's a hard, like, trying to like, comprehend everything.
Huh. That is a good question.
That was a really good question.
Thank you. I just really was curious.
Let's see.
So, what is the government's role in families? I've seen that a few times. Why does the government care if they're considered a family or not?
That was actually in the book, The Truth Overruled one.
Yeah.
I was just looking at on page 25. That's kind of interesting.
There was some good stuff in that book about that.
There's the very sorry, I can't even talk. The very bottom of page 25 about the government actually says government does not create marriage; it recognizes it. So it's like really like they shouldn't be involved. They're just recognizing it is only all what they should be doing.
How do you think today's society thinks their role or government's role is in marriage and stuff?
I don't know.
Sorry, did that make any sense?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the world just doesn't think they should have any involvement, and that everybody should just be able to do whatever they want, go willy-nilly, free for all. And then the government should just, they want them to stay out of it, I think, but they also want them to defend that they're the things they're doing that are wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking. Just that kind of interesting, those people who are like, want all these new freedoms, they want the government to stay out of it, but they want to stay out of it by laws.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not just that, it's like they want the government out of it, but they want the benefits that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, stay out of my life, government, but give me money.
Yeah.
Hello.
Looks like someone else.
Oh.
Sorry, I made it late.
That's okay. You made it.
Finished up.
You were at Twins, was that right?
Sorry, what was that?
Twins, right?
You're cutting out. Sorry.
You know what brush makes you good enough by
Okay,
having
I need you to get out.
a
Please,
timer?
sorry. Thank you. Okay, please get out.
My name is Ella.
Awesome. Oh, awesome tower. Okay. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
We got a crazy house.
And my name
That's okay. We're glad you're here.
Okay, so what was the question that was asked?
I don't remember.
What is the government's role in families today? Or something about today in government and families.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, moving on.
So if we go back,
Go ahead.
sorry. If we go back to the government one, kind of what I understood from that is that the government should be concerned with our families just because of the cost of welfare and how many billions of dollars are spent on, people who don't have a father in their lives, or all of those teen mothers and stuff, and people that have been in bad situations. And that's where the government should take a role and should be concerned about our families. And that's where we should be concerned about society's families. But as far as mandating what else is happening, the government, I guess, shouldn't really be in your bedroom, is what I understood from the reading.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think that was perfectly said.
Where was it? Well, did any other questions stand out to you guys? I'm trying to find mine.
What?
I wondered if you guys watched the video about the guy who was a former porn star. Did you guys find that video?
I did.
That was so heartbreaking to me. I just thought, I wish everyone could feel feel the way he felt and sort of realize the huge downside to leading that kind of lifestyle.
I agree.
One.
It was sad. It was sad to watch the girl too.
Where was that? Where did I miss
Huh?
It was
Find it.
in one of the.
It was in next,
I turn it off.
like our due date number 3 file.
Mm.
Okay. Okay, I don't know why I haven't seen that one.
But it was
I
about a
just-
girl who got into porn with her boyfriend and it ruined their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Wow.
what I want to say.
And glitchy. I don't know if it's on that for you guys, but
It just makes the objects. We're not people anymore. There's no emotions. There's just objects, men and women. Sex is just this casual thing, and it's not. I mean, I feel like we could even argue out with straight porn and like, you know, those videos and stuff that you can watch. It's more than that. The little baby steps that get you into it. It's amazing. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think that people start one day and just go straight into hardcore. I think it's literally Satan's, you know, plan to lead you very slowly so you don't realize until you're in too far. So it doesn't start out as that. It starts out as just, you know, going to the certain movies or watching, you know, things on TV, or, you know, it just really starts out slowly, and then by the time you're there, it's not too late, but it's like it's kind of too late.
Yeah. Well, what is that scripture that we read about how, you know, he fed the king poison little bits at a time till he died?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we're fed just little bits here and little bits there. There's a poem that I put in my journal that's President Monson, late President Monson, said in his talk about how now I'm going to see if I can find it, because it's like it explains exactly what we're seeing. And it was like talking about how, you know, at first you may hate it, but then gradually as you see it more, it becomes, you end up loving it. You end up embracing it. I can't.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
And I think it's interesting with the width of, you know, our smartphones and our computers, with just like interactions between two people and a girlfriend in these young days. You know, they think they're so driven by this idea that they have to bodies and make this person fall in love. You can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes. But they're not. There's no depth to any relationship. It becomes manipulative. It becomes, you know, very toxic, very fast.
Well, it's so shallow. It's shallow. Everything is surface.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that's really hard with like pornography too is that it gets introduced to you by someone that you would least expect, like maybe a good friend or a family member. And the thing is that it's really hard to recover from, because you can't ever take those pictures away, the things that you've already seen. Where with like drugs or alcohol, that can be taken away, but parts of your mind, you just can't get rid of that.
it'll always be in your mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have to be so careful. I feel like now that I have a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like so much crap on TV. Gateway. I don't want my kids to watch TV. I don't want them to see anything. And I'm like, I know that's not realistic, but
Yeah. You just have to teach them. Like, I have a good friend who has all boys. And she tells them straight out. She goes, you know what? You know, porn is out there and it's addictive. And, you know, when you watch those girls, you're seeing a daughter, you're seeing a mother possibly at their very lowest, at their very lowest time in their life. Why give them that support to continue to be at their lowest? By watching them, you're giving them that support in, yes, let's keep you at your lowest. So just don't support it.
There was, I can't remember who said it, but there was a commandment. It was basically like, you know, don't have computers behind closed doors. And, you know, it's so instinctive, like, okay, that doesn't apply to me. I don't have that temptation. But by not following that, we're opening that door just a little bit. It might not be our temptation, but we're allowing it to be something that's an opportunity.
Yeah. But we're also being
I
an
definitely agree.
example for our kids if we have them. And, you know, it might be their vice in their future and they don't know it. So giving them the key of, yeah, it's okay to go in my room and close the door with the computer shows them that they can do it. So, I don't know. Is there anything else that stood out?
Something that stood out for me was that article where he was talking about the woman that wrote him a letter and how she was a single mom and she was upset that her husband had walked out on her and everything. But she finally got to the point where she realized that she was the one that had all the rewards of watching her children grow up. And her husband didn't get that. And so that kind of all went away. And that just kind of reminded me that it doesn't matter what my situation is or what anyone else's is. It's all my decision. So I can choose to go out and spend time with my children or do whatever, regardless of whether or not I have that help. If I'm doing it on my own, if I, but not to just miss out on those moments. Go ahead and make those memories. So I think that was something that stood out for me personally.
Yeah, I really liked that article. Okay.
It doesn't really apply, but doesn't not. Kind of after reading all of the different things in the chapter in the book that we were supposed to read, and it kind of talked about how if you don't define, depending on how you define marriage, completely changes the whole aspect of it. So if it's not between a woman and a man, and you start doing all these other groups, then you really have to open it up to everything. Because if it's just the definition of, I love this, this person or whatever, and we're going to have a committed relationship, then you have to open that up to polygamy because they have a loving, committed relationship. And who's to say, well, I can't marry an animal because I really love this animal, or I'm going to marry this inanimate object. And just after reading that chapter, I was watching the news that night, and they were talking about this robot. I think it's Sophia or something. I can't remember the name, but they said that she had just been granted citizenship in, I don't even remember which country. Yeah, and so, I was listening to the creator of this. It's like, well, she should have citizenship and da-da-da-da-da. And it boggled my mind. I'm like, this is a robot. And we're really getting that where we're treating these objects as humans. And we're opening up all these different possibilities, all of these different things that we don't need to mess with. And so it just makes things really, really confusing. And so I think about all the stuff where now we're trying to, whatever you feel like, that's what you are. If you identify with a man today, you're a man. But if tomorrow you want to be a woman, that's great. You're a woman.
And the next day, identify with a dog, so I'm a dog. Where does it end?
Where do you draw that line? Yeah. So that kind of solidified what we read for me, was just seeing that news report. Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. A robot has citizenship. That's great.
Yeah. I know, that actually scared me a little bit.
Next, they're going to collect Social Security.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Luckily, it's not U.S. citizenship. I'm trying to remember I don't think it was Russia. It might have been Switzerland or so. I can't remember where, but it was another country.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Read the directions. Sorry. My daughter got home.
My cousin considers herself, I think is it a them? It's a them or a it or something? Well, that's what she considers herself. By any gender, she said. I don't know what it's called. A them, I'm pretty sure is what she said.
Oh.
No. But it's different than bisexual because I don't know, but it's very different. It's no gender.
Oh.
Very confusing. But I didn't really go into details with her, but that's what she.
Wow. So it's not trans.
No, she calls herself a them. I'm pretty sure it's them. It's either them or it.
Oh.
That's why I think people are
Maybe my
just they're
husband.
looking for an outlet to be special, and they're totally missing the most special thing that we are, and that's daughters and sons of our Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. She's a little bit out there in general anyway, so.
Sounds like it.
Great person, just a little out there.
I just looked it up and it says, yeah, it's a they, them, or theirs. That's
Not he or once.
wow, I've never heard of that
I
before.
have never heard that.
She, like I said, is a little weird.
There's a great video that I saw on Facebook, and I wonder if I could post it into the link, because it was talking about how we are causing so much confusion. You know, if someone were to come in and say that they were depressed or something, then we would want to help them. We'd want to give them medicine. But if they come and they say that I'm a different gender, we're like, well, then great. Let's make you that gender. And we're not trying to address the fact that someone that does that is mentally ill. And we should be helping them through this mental illness rather than just trying to embrace something so radical. And if I can find it, it's really a great video.
I heard it was like a hormonal imbalance when you have those sensations. Am I right? Or that when
Probably.
kids feel like they're the other gender, it's because their hormones are off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if my cousin specifically thinks it. She has a lot go on in her life, and so I think it's more of an attention thing than it is like. Then I think it definitely could be that for some people, that it could be a hormonal imbalance. It's just she wants attention, and it's a popular thing to do right now.
Okay. So is that it?
I think so. I don't.
I think we're for it the last 3 minutes.
What's that?
Just like whatever. Like, whatever. I'm not sure what can
recap, right?
Yeah. Do you want me to just?
Recap.
I just sort of tried to scribble notes as we were talking. Yeah, we first talked about needing to know what we're advocating for, because if we don't, then how can we help families and children? And we need to know where God stands on things before learning what man thinks of things such as the family. When we talked about the video from Chicago, we thought it was sad that they didn't think it mattered, and that there was just one person that was against same-sex marriage, and that it was selfish because they're only thinking about themselves being happy. And then regarding gay marriage, we talked about if we don't support it, we are bigots, but in those terms, Christ would be a bigot today also. And regarding the pictures, that they look so happy that it can be deceiving to us that, you know, all of those pictures were of people who look really happy, but they're actually, I mean, maybe they're happy, but I think in the long run they won't be. Let's see what go next. Sorry. We defined a family, a union between a man wife and children, could be adopted or biological, that come together and make a commitment to each other and to God. And it can include extended family that you continue to build as you go. What is the U.S. government's role in family today? There was the quote that you said from the book that was, the government does not create marriage, it recognizes marriage. And that they should be concerned due to the cost of welfare and money spent on fatherlessness and poverty, but they shouldn't be in our bedroom. And we talked about the guy in the video, the porn star who used to be a porn star, and how it ruins relationships. It makes everything into objects. People just become objects. There's no emotion to relationships. And it starts out, and being addicted to pornography, it starts out slowly, but it progresses. And then by the time you get to where you're at, you're kind of in too deep. And you become desensitized as you continue to see those pictures. It kind of becomes normal to you. And so it's harder to get away from it because you can't erase those images from your head. Relationships become shallow of those who, because we're just thinking of that person as in a sexual way or in an object way. And then defining marriage, if we don't define it, it opens it up to all other types of relationships, and it can be a slippery slope. It opens up a lot of possibilities that are damaging to society and to families. That's all that I have.
Sounds about right.
That was great. Thank you
Okay.
for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. So who wants to start the broadcast next week?
I'm scared too, but I'm scared too because I don't know how.
I can do it for next week since I was late in coming this week.
Sounds
That's
good.
all.
And then who is it next to summarize for next week?
Is it every week?
I can.
Who?
I think we just rotate, right?
Yeah,
So next
we
week,
just
someone
rotate.
else can.
Yep.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm ending
then-
it. I'll send you guys the link so we can look back on it if we need to. And thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's
Bye.
interested in that video, I did post the link in the chat box, so you
Okay.
can check it out.
Awesome.
But
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
See you guys next week.